Welcome to the Namaqua Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are glad you're here. My name is AnnMarie Kajencki. I use she, her pronouns, and I am your worship associate for today. We are a come as you are congregation, and you are welcome here just as you are. I want to extend a special welcome to any visitors. We would love to stay connected, so please sign up for our communications at the main entrance. Here at Namaqua UU, we foster a beloved community that celebrates diversity, strives for peace and justice, acts mindfully for the good of the planet, and inspires spiritual growth through a free and loving search for truth and meaning. We honor the ground we walk upon and acknowledge this land as the traditional and ancestral homeland of many indigenous tribes, including the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples, to name but a few. We recognize and honor the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and vow to reconcile the deep wounds that still shape our world today. This week, next Sunday, beginning at 10 a.m., Inviting the Waters, join Reverend Dana Lightsey, Worship Associate Linda Lyons, Ryan Marvell, and the choir for our official opening for the 2024-25 church year. Please join us for our ritual gathering of the waters for water communion. Please bring water that you have gathered from your favorite bodies of water for our ceremony, or use water from our pitchers to represent something meaningful to you. World Cafe and Barbecue. After the service next Sunday, join us at Kathy Hartman's house for our World Cafe event, where we will gather your input as we plan for the future of NUUC. The event will include a barbecue and potluck, so please bring a side dish. The church leadership will provide grilled meat and vegetarian vegan options. We look forward to spending time with you. You can still pick up postcard packets with 20 blank postcards and names at the entrance to the sanctuary. Remember to return your completed packet to the collection box in the sanctuary. It is important that you do not mail the cards. Feel free to help out by stamping your postcards if you'd like. The due date for postcards is September 15th, so be sure to drop them off in the box by then. Our friends at First Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, have voted to sell their church buildings and property to the city to create a homelessness rescue center to support people experiencing homelessness. There is a concerted effort to stop this plan by spreading misinformation and fostering fear. Please join us in supporting their efforts by attending First Christian Church on Saturday, September 7th, from 10 to noon for a gathering to support the Resource Center project and to learn more about it. Coffee hour after the service today in Parker Hall. If you have a brief personal joy or sorrow you would like to share in today's service, but don't want to come to the mic, please write it down on the form to be collected by the ushers during the offering. We have a guest speaker this morning. Jade, President of the Communications Workers of American Local 7799. Jade Calley has served as president of CWA Local 7799 for the past 3 years, and during that time she has helped grow her union from a small higher education union to the largest in the state, with 5 other labor unions joining the local in healthcare, public libraries, and the Public Defender's Office. Jade has been deeply inspired by the grassroots organizing in all 6 CWA 7799 unions and has found hope from real potential of workers of a unified public worker statewide union to make revolutionary change for workers in the state of Colorado. In addition to being president of CWA 7799, Jade has worked for 10 years at the University of Colorado Boulder as a university staff member, is the mother to 4 badly behaved cats, and is the chair of the LGBTQ caucus for the Colorado Musicians Union. Jade is going to join me here with our opening words for our service today. We labor in love. On Labor Day, we honor our work, physical and mental, paid and unpaid, joyous and heartbreaking.
We give thanks for work's gifts, suffer its difficulties, and strive to make labor just and joyous for all.
Our work can build our society, provide for our material needs, and give our life meaning.
We labor in gratitude.
Our work can damage our society and the planet, fail to sustain our material needs, and be meaningless.
We join together to create work that supports the well-being of all.
Our work can heal the world, help us understand who we are, and keep us safe.
We labor in joy.
Our work can harm the world, demean us, and expose us to danger.
We join together to create work that is safe and humane.
Our work can fill our days with accomplishments and our lives with stories.
We labor in love.
Our work can dissatisfy and alienate us. We may not be able to find enough work or any work.
We join together to create work that blesses us, all people, and the planet.
This Labor Day and all Labor Days to come, may our work and all work serve humanity and all living beings. Join me now in saying our affirmation, please. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Let us share the spirit of love by greeting those around you. Thank you. We can go greet people. children's voices in the audience, which is wonderful. So come up here, please, and join me for a wonderful, sweet story, definitely in tune for Labor Day. Okay, this is what I was worried about. If I sit down, can I get up? Okay, let me get here. Okay, we're down. We're good. Okay, this is a story. Maybe you should turn around and look at our protagonist of this story, little Higgins. The title of the story is Higgins, A Drop with a Dream. Okay, once upon a time, there was a drop of water named Higgins. Higgins was no ordinary drop of water. He was a drop with a dream. Higgins lived in a valley where it had not rained in a very long time, so all the lovely green grass was turning brown, all the beautiful flowers were wilting, and all the trees were starting to droop. Higgins had a dream that one day the valley would be a beautiful place again. But what could he do? After all, he was only a drop of water. One day, Higgins decided to travel and tell others about his dream. All the other drops listened very politely, but no one believed that his dream would come true. Higgins, said one, get your head out of the clouds. You can't spend your whole life dreaming. Higgins decided that he had to do something to make his dream come true, so he began to think and think and think. One day, as he was walking by a rusty old bucket, he got an idea. If enough of us drops of water got together in this bucket, Higgins thought, there would be enough water to sprinkle on a few flowers to help them grow and become beautiful again. Eagerly, Higgins told everyone his great idea, but everyone thought he was being foolish. That Higgins is nothing but a dreamer, they said. Higgins decided he had to do something to convince the others that he was right. So he said to them, I don't know about you, but I'm getting into the bucket. I hope some of you will join me. Then there might be enough water to help at least some flowers grow beautiful again. So Higgins ran as hard as he could, hopped way up in the air, and landed with a kerplunk in the bottom of the bucket. And there he sat, just a drop in the bucket. For a long time, Higgins was very lonely. It seemed like no one else was going to join him, but after a while, some of the other drops could see that the grass was dying and the flowers were wilting and the trees were drooping. They all agreed that something must be done. Suddenly, one drop shouted, I'm going in the bucket with Higgins, and he leaped through the air and landed kerplunk in the bucket. The other two drops yelled, wait for us, and they hopped through the air and landed in the bucket. Then 10 drops jumped through the air into the bucket, then 30, then 50, and then hundreds of drops came from all around just to hop into the bucket. Soon the bucket was completely full of water, but there were still more drops that wanted to join. So they found another bucket and hopped in. Before long, there were 2 buckets of water, then 3, then 4, then 10, and then hundreds, and then thousands of buckets of water. Along came a powerful breeze that blew over all the buckets, and all the water flowed together to make a mighty stream. Everywhere the water flowed, the grass turned green again, and the flowers bloomed, and the trees stood tall and straight once more. All this happened because Higgins had a dream, and his dream came true because he knew that although he was just a drop in the bucket, enough drops in the bucket made a bucket full, and when there are enough buckets with the wind behind them, then justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. The end. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Going down? Yeah, we're going down. Thank you. I'm sorry. Isn't that cute? I retired on May 13th, 2019. Since then, I depend on Social Security each month. Some Americans remain in the workforce for 50 years or more. I would have gladly worked past age 65, but my employer made my time on the job miserable, most especially the last several years, because they didn't want to give me my retirement stipend. They tried and tried and tried to get me to quit, to resign. Sometimes I thought I was gonna die, but I didn't. Peggy Lee. Plus, the state of North Dakota, where I was employed and lived, but please note I am not from North Dakota. I simply played one on TV. No, I simply worked and lived there. But because I lived there, my employer could have easily removed me / fired me anytime they wished. They could legally fire me because I identify as lesbian and queer. On February 17th, 2015, the North Dakota Senate voted 25-22 to approve a bill that would have banned discrimination or gender identity in employment, housing, and public accommodations. The bill did not pass because it did not receive enough votes in the House of Representatives. In April 2021, the governor signed a bill into law allowing student groups at colleges, universities, and high schools to discriminate against LGBTQ students. I left in 2019. Had I been there, I don't think this would have passed, but that's just wishful thinking. North Dakota's employment non-discrimination law does not include sexual orientation or gender identity, leaving LGBTQ individuals in the state vulnerable to discrimination. There's a strong possibility that the gains made by women, minorities, people with disabilities, LGBTQ individuals in the 20th and 21st centuries will be erased, not only in North Dakota, but in all 50 states. No more overtime protection for over 4 million workers, no more lower prescription drug prices. Instead, there will be limited access to food assistance and multiple rollbacks for civil rights protections, including diversity, equity, inclusion-related programs, and LGBTQIA2S+ rights in healthcare, in education, and employment. We light this chalice in hope that all positive gains that have been made will not be erased, that employment discrimination will not exist, that workers' rights and benefits remain, that light prevails, and that people and all living things benefit from our labors. Each week, you support the work of this congregation and all the ways we live our values in the world through your own generosity. In addition to supporting this church, 1/2 of your donations support a local nonprofit organization helping us to make a difference beyond our walls. During the 2 months of September and October, we are giving to the Friends of the Loveland Public Library as part of our shared values. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. The Friends of the Loveland Public Library Foundation, a 501c3 charitable organization, is dedicated to supporting and advocating for the Loveland Public Library and its mission to inform, enrich, and inspire a strong, engaged community. The Friends generate current and long-term funding for library activities through volunteer involvement. We come together each week to share our lives and care for each other through all that life brings. If you have a brief personal joy or sorrow you would like to share, we invite you to come forward to the mic or raise your hand for me to bring you the mic. I don't think there are any written comments, and also we will also share comments from our Zoom congregation if they wish. I would like to start with a joy. A recent joy Carol Barton asked me to share with all of you. She says to the congregation, "Thank you," quote, "for the wonderful Helping Hands prayer flag that many people participated in last Sunday. It was a very welcome surprise as I returned home last Monday. It was draped from our blue spruce to our garage. We deeply appreciate the show of support and love from all of you, and a special thanks to Vicki Clark, who organized all of you to create it. I plan to take it down to the hospital tomorrow," that was this past Friday, "so I can show Dick." Carol and Dick Barton, we hold you in our hearts. So please come up and give us a joy and sorrow of your own.
Oh, here comes Pete with his same old story. Just wanted to report to you that the kids got to Jordan yesterday after 2 plane cancellations and all kinds of consternation. But I was walking out of home to come to church this morning, and all of a sudden I had a FaceTime with Benji. And he was saying that he was okay. I mean, he's only 2 years old, so. But anyway, I'm very, very happy. They're there, and they're going to do what they wanted to go for.
Morning. My name is Terry, and my sorrow is that I have a cousin who I just learned after 21 years of being free of substance abuse has relapsed again, and it has caused him to lose his job and lose his family as well, and so much stress on his mother that yesterday my aunt was rushed to the hospital and had a pacemaker put in. So thoughts go out to them, hopefully. And my joy is that I'm back here today, and I've been gone for a few months, and it's so nice to see some familiar faces.
So I have a special joy. My daughter and son-in-law, who live in Jerome, Arizona, we met them in Breckenridge at a wonderful time with them and our son-in-law's nephew and his wife, who had helped organize the Aspen Music Festival, and their concert was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. And then we came home to have our son-in-law and daughter joined us, and Crystal Brown, who's a plein air artist from Texas, was at our house and busily painting. And we have a big plein air festival at the Art Center of Estes Park, and they spend time in the area painting. And another painter joined us, and he spent time in our backyard, and all our neighbors were wondering what on earth he was painting. And if any of you are familiar with the Twin Sisters, he was painting the view of the Twin Sisters from our backyard. And not only that, he gave it to us as a hostess gift. So how wonderful. It's just super. So, and the art that they did is just wonderful, and it'll be in the Art Center's gallery until the end of September. So.
Good morning, my name is Jim. The sorrow is that one of my childhood friends is headed towards hospice. His cancer is returned, and there we are. The good news is I get to go visit him. So I'm leaving next week to go down and spend time with him. Thank you.
We hold you in our heart. Any joys and sorrows from our Zoom? Not today, okay. Oh, sorry.
For risking your life to get me a mic.
Anytime, anytime.
Listen, I just don't want you guys to forget about my older son. Was abused by his father as a child, and he has never recovered from that. And he's deeply, deeply depressed. And I just need your equivalent of prayers for his healing. Thank you.
And we hold them in our hearts.
I better get a joy in here. My cataract surgery's all done, and you look better than I thought you would.
Thank you, Fred. That's great.
Hi. I have two things. I have a friend who is her health history is Job-like, I would say. No sooner does one thing go wrong or that she has to live with it or get complicated than something else goes wrong. She hit her head on a cabinet and it made a hole in her retina, and she had to get surgery so that her retina didn't detach. But that happened. So that's a joy for her that she seems fine and on recovery. And if you'd hold my mom in your hearts, she apparently had like a single eye vision blackout, and her doctor said it was a brain thing, and she had brain scans, and she seems fine. Now she's getting heart tests. So just if you can hold her in your hearts, I would appreciate that.
We hold your joys and sorrows and also those unspoken joys and sorrows.
Hello, 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 Unitarians. My name is Jade Kelly, and I am deeply honored to be speaking before you here today. I really want to thank AnnMarie, Dana, Chantel, Katie, every single person that has helped put this on together, partnering with Together Colorado and the Colorado AFL-CIO to bring labor leaders from around the state to the pulpits for our Holy Weekend, Labor Day weekend. There's a lot of us going around the state today, but y'all got lucky enough to hear the dulcet tones of Jade Kelly, so congratulations. I am a trans woman, a former Unitarian, and for the past 3 years, I have had the privilege of serving as president of CWA Local 7799, your favorite union's favorite union. We are a member-led public sector union here in the state of Colorado, including my union, UCW Colorado, a wall-to-wall union for faculty, staff, graduate, and undergraduate workers at CU and CSU, UC Health Workers United for nurses, doctors, admin, anyone with a paycheck, Denver Health Workers United, Denver Public Library Workers United, Pikes Peak Library Workers United, all wall-to-wall unions, and of course, the very legally talented, where my water bottle is from, the Defenders Union of Colorado for workers in the State Public Defender's Office. One of the first questions I get after making it through that avalanche of unions is why? What brings you all together? What do you, Jade Kelly, as a model, as an icon, as a university staff member at the University of Colorado, have in common with a public defender in Steamboat that is somehow connected to a Denver health surgeon that is spending her nights fighting in the same union as a librarian who spends their nights in the stack of literature and indexes, texting the Discord on how to organize and improve the library for everyone? And the answer is a simple but powerful one. We are all exploited by Colorado labor law. For the past 90 years, the Colorado Labor Peace Act has forced us as public sector workers to sit in silence as our health, our civil rights, our workplace protections are dismissed in boardrooms without us, debated as necessary austerity cuts without regard for our humanity, and ultimately sacrificed as our public institutions have been pushed to privatization at the peril of everyone in our community. Colorado labor history is filled with struggles for fair wages, benefits, and safer working conditions. But beyond these important issues, however, is the basic demand, resonating through centuries of exploitation, that workers have the right to speak with a collective voice and to have their union recognized by their employers. Currently, with the exception of a very limited group of public workers in specific locations, public sector workers are free to organize a union, but their employers have no obligation to recognize or to bargain with that union. A union without collective bargaining rights denies workers their most precious and fundamental right, to sit across the table as equals with their employer and have their voices heard, to be seen as human. Union recognition and the right to collectively bargain is inextricably tied to human dignity. To struggle to be seen by one's employer, to have their voices in policies and decisions that directly impact the workplace. Without this collective voice, workers are easily divided and left to the whims of those who have power over them. Which is why I'm here today. I've been asked to speak to the powerful but often misunderstood concept of solidarity and explore with all of you how faith calls us to stand in solidarity with workers across the world and within our community, to advocate for fairness, to take action, to refuse to be passive bystanders, and to stand collectively so we can bargain together instead of beg alone. Solidarity to me is more than just a buzzword. When I was in school, I was honestly miseducated about what solidarity meant. I was told that it meant something closer to sympathy, something that you put in a greeting card for a loved one who's going through a hard time. But the truth and the history of this word is so much greater than that. Solidarity is a fundamental principle rooted in our shared humanity. Solidarity has honestly nothing to do with sympathy. Solidarity is about standing shoulder to shoulder, about being united in purpose and action. It's about saying, your struggle is my struggle. Your fight is my fight. Your wins are my wins. Your losses are my losses. We're in the same boat, and it's about time we start acting like it. In the context of faith, solidarity takes on a sacred meaning. It's an expression of the divine commitment to love our neighbors as ourselves. Solidarity is about resisting the urge to divide us even when it's difficult, not for altruistic reasons, but because unity is necessary for us to win. Leah Watson, an Aboriginal activist, put it better than I ever could with this powerful quote. If you have come here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you come here because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. Unions have been able to build that unity and unite communities together across party lines from different generations, different backgrounds, different institutions, all united to demand, not beg, but to demand a better world. And make no mistake, solidarity is not just a noun, it's a verb. I'm reminded of one of our members down in Colorado Springs at Pikes Peak Library named June. June is a woman and a librarian, and one night while returning books to the shelves, she was violently attacked by a patron. He yelled transphobic slurs and hit her in the face and broke her nose. Rather than handling the situation appropriately and with kind and empathy, management at the library chose to kick the man out, tell June to drive herself home, and everyone else to get back to work or else. June was expected to come back to work the next day, and management's uncaring attitude made it difficult for her to press charges or even have any sort of guarantee that this man wouldn't return to the library. Rather than feel defeated, June began to organize, and quickly she found success. To be honest, the boss is always the best organizer. No one at the library, from teens working at the front desk to supervisors themselves, felt safe after how management refused to protect her after that incident. We have a sacred saying in the labor movement: an injury to one of us is an injury to all of us. A few months later, they formed the first wall-to-wall union in Colorado Springs for library workers, there to fight for safety at work, for better pay, a fully funded library system, to reject private donors like Focus on the Family that have spread propaganda and hate at the library and dumped hundreds of millions of dollars into electing anti-LGBT candidates, anti-union candidates, and let's be very clear here, anti-library candidates are looking to defund our public services and have been getting them elected to public office over the past decade. Pikes Peak Library Workers United are fighting for the public good. And May 1st, 2023, they voted to join CWA Local 7799 to reiterate your favorite union. In this past legislative session, along with Denver Public Library Workers United, we passed a comprehensive piece of legislation with Senator Cutter, Senator Kolker, and Representative Joseph to stop retaliation against workers who speak out, who blow the whistle on unsafe conditions, and stop racist and homophobic and transphobic book bans from hitting our public libraries. Solidarity is standing with June when she is attacked, even though it wasn't you, even though it wasn't in your community, even though you might not work at the library. Here in Weld County, a librarian was fired in 2021 for promoting a workshop for LGBTQ children to have safe, fun space to come read at the library. Solidarity can be selfish. Solidarity can mean mutual protection. Solidarity means you don't want to be fired without just cause. Solidarity means you don't want to live in a community where violent attacks are permitted in the library. Solidarity means you know what's right and you too can speak up. So now that we have that shared definition of solidarity, back to why I'm here. I could be giving the same speech at my workplace or at a union hall, but I woke up, fed those misbehaved cats early. They were very happy. Put on what I thought was my best Sunday church dress. Some of you outdid me, clearly. And made sure that I could speak to the beautiful, courageous Unitarians in Loveland and made sure that none of you missed the meaning of Labor Day. Because the history of the labor movement is intertwined with the history of faith communities. Churches have often been sanctuaries for organizing and resistance. In the early 1900s, it was within churches' halls and on churches' steps that workers gathered to demand fair wages, safe working conditions, and dignity in the job. Faith leaders marched right alongside labor leaders, declaring that every worker deserved to be treated with respect and justice. From the coal mines of West Virginia to the factories of Chicago to the railroad and mine strikes right here in Colorado. Churches have been places where workers found not only spiritual solace, but also tangible support in the fight for justice. Throughout history, the unity of churches in the labor movement has brought some of the most combative, radical, and profound examples of class struggle. I'm reminded of May of 1968 in France, which went down in history, and it began with church leaders providing sanctuary to labor leaders who were being arrested by the police for striking and refusing to work until their demands were met. Together, workers and religious leaders fought the police, built barricades, and organized a general strike all across France that almost toppled the president. There were whispers of that kind of unity today. We've seen a growing labor movement, and I hope you can feel that this Labor Day weekend, because the truth is, we need your help again. Today, this fight is far from over. Public sector workers face low wages that make it difficult to provide for our families. I've seen it at CU Boulder, where less than 5% of staff actually live in the city of Boulder, while our Basic Needs Center, which provides food, groceries, and basic needs for our students, has been overrun by the needs of faculty and staff, which now make up over 60% of the users of the Basic Needs Center. When we talk about starvation wages, please know it's not just a catchphrase. They are not paying us enough to afford groceries. At UC Health and Denver Health, we aren't running campaigns for new Lamborghinis and Teslas. We are running campaigns to reclaim bathroom breaks as staffing ratios have plummeted and nurses are expected to go from one patient to another and shamed for taking a break that is guaranteed by federal law. We have healthcare workers who are wetting their pants and told to keep working, or they are risking the next patient's life by taking a short, necessary bathroom break. This is at the same time where we have only 2 full-time staff at Long Peaks Hospital working the entire ICU, as management has decided it would be cheaper to fill the gaps with travel nurses and contract employees. Make no mistake, patient lives and care is at risk, but it isn't because your nurse has to go to the bathroom during their 12-hour shift. And it has everything to do with our further deteriorating and broken healthcare system that leaves workers vulnerable and patients waiting for necessary care. We can't keep running these one-off campaigns. I'm tired. We need a contract. We need the right to collectively bargain and fight for the public good of our entire community. In Colorado, over 300,000 public sector workers are still without the power to collectively bargain for better wages and better working conditions. And this is not just a political issue. This is a moral issue. Our faith calls for us to speak out against injustice, to stand in solidarity with those who are marginalized, and to work towards a world where everyone can live with dignity. I'm asking you to stand with us this November as we make history in Denver by expanding collective bargaining rights to over 15,000 public sector workers for the first time in Denver's history. We fought hard, we collected signatures, and we made sure we put strong collective bargaining on the ballot, one with the right to strike, one with no limits on collective bargaining, and showing that this is going to get passed by the voters themselves. This measure is not just a piece of legislation, it's a step towards justice, a step towards making sure that the voices of the workers are heard and respected. By supporting this measure, we are saying that we believe in the power of community, in the power of collective action, in the power of love to transform our world. I urge you to engage with this ballot measure, to learn more about it, and to spread the word. Talk with your friends, your family, and your coworkers. Sign up to help us knock on doors. We know we are going to get outspent. We know the power of, but despite that, despite the Chamber of Commerce, the restaurant lobby, these people have names, super PACs. We know we're going to get outspent. We know that the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. And if we pass this strong version of collective bargaining with a wide margin, passed by the voters themselves, we will put every single politician who has told us no on record, who has told us that healthcare workers are too important to have a union. Every single politician for the past 90 years who have told us to keep on waiting. That public sector's workers, we're here for altruistic reasons. We don't want to raise. We're fine begging for our groceries from our employer. The unions are for auto workers, not for librarians. That Colorado is not ready for a public union. We will let them know that this 90-year-long injustice to get collective bargaining is over, and we will get it statewide after we get it in Denver by 2026, mark my words. Go to the tiny URL and please sign up. Help our campaign. It's the Stronger Denver campaign. It's not just CWA. I got to shout out to my other unions while I'm here and recorded by Zoom. The Teamsters, they came right to our aid. A lot of unions were waiting to, it's a big political risk. They threw down. They threw down money. They threw down their workers. They helped us knock on doors. They helped us collect signatures. They brought their tricked out semi-trucks to make sure that our rallies were fun and charismatic. SEIU, IATSE, Colorado AFL-CIO. We had Together Colorado, faith leaders coming out, making sure that this is an important issue, that this is an important measure for our community. So as we leave here today, I hope that you carry the spirit of sacred solidarity. And let us remember that every worker is our neighbor, and every injustice is a call to action. Let us work together to build a community. And as Martin Luther King Jr. preached to a church on Labor Day, similar to yours, about sanitation workers fighting for these same exact rights that I'm talking about today, he said, just as Higgins said, justice rolls down the waters like a righteous mighty stream. Thank you, and may we continue to walk this path of justice and solidarity together.
I forgot to, earlier in the service, thank all the people who have made this service possible, so thank all of you. And there are quite a few. Thank you. I invite you now to reach out to one another in whatever way you feel comfortable. This is a poem by Mary Oliver titled Messenger. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbird, equal seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums, here the clam deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. The phoebe, the delphinium, the sheep in the pasture, and the pasture, which is mostly rejoicing since all the ingredients are here, which is gratitude, to be given a mind and a heart and these body clothes, a mouth with which to give shouts of joy to the moth and the wren, to the sleepy dug-up clam, telling them all over and over, this is how it is that we live forever. Please join us for coffee and conversation in the fellowship behind the sanctuary.